Psalm 23 explained, "Find peace in the valley and pray with us." There are passages in the Bible that echo through time, words so powerful they seem to embrace your soul in the darkest night and lift you toward hope when the weight of the world presses you down. Psalm 23 is one of those treasures. It is not just a poem to be recited in rituals, not a phrase engraved in memory only for funerals, but a living declaration of faith, of rest, of divine presence that transforms fear into courage and scarcity into abundance. Imagine walking through valleys where shadows stretch long, where every step feels uncertain, where tomorrow hides behind mountains of doubt. Your heart beats fast, your mind whispers threats, and you wonder if you can keep moving. That is where David's words enter like a light piercing the fog. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." He is not describing a God far away, sitting on a throne unreachable. He is talking about a God who leads, guides, protects, and provides, like a shepherd who never abandons his flock, even when wolves circle in the night. This psalm is not theory, it is experience. David had faced lions, giants, betrayal, exile, and wars. He knew hunger, rejection, and the cold touch of loneliness. Yet in every moment he discovered a shepherd whose voice was steady, whose staff defended him, whose hand anointed his head with oil. That testimony is what we now unfold together. And as you hear these words, I invite you not only to understand them, but to live them. Let each verse become a prayer rising from your lips, a declaration over your life, a shield for your family, and a promise you refuse to let go of. Because Psalm 23 is not about the absence of danger, it is about the presence of God that nullifies fear. It is about discovering that peace is not found in the absence of valleys, but in the certainty that you are not walking alone. So stay with me. Each phrase of this psalm holds a key. Each line is a doorway into peace, courage, and restoration. And at the end, we will not only understand the psalm, but we will pray together, lifting our voices as one, declaring the same trust that David proclaimed thousands of years ago. This is more than explanation. It is an encounter. And right now, the shepherd is calling you closer, inviting you to walk with him through green pastures, still waters, and even through the valley of shadows. Because in his presence, peace is not a theory. Peace becomes your reality. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." When David begins with, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," he is making a bold declaration, not a wish, not a fragile hope. It is certainty. He is saying, "With God guiding me, I will lack nothing essential." Think about this. In a world where we are constantly pushed to feel incomplete, always needing more money, more success, more recognition, David steps into another reality. He speaks of sufficiency, of wholeness, of a life anchored not in possessions but in the presence of the shepherd. A shepherd's role in ancient Israel was not glamorous. It was dangerous, lonely, and exhausting. The shepherd slept near the sheep, watched for predators, carried the weak, and fought off the wolves. To call God a shepherd is to say, He is not distant, He is intimately close. He is not simply managing from heaven, He is walking with you, protecting and guiding every step. That means when you feel overlooked by the world, God sees you. When you feel vulnerable, God surrounds you. But what about the moments when you feel lack? When bills pile up, when the fridge is empty, when your heart aches with absence? This verse does not deny those realities, it reframes them. "I shall not want" is not a promise that you will never face need. It is a promise that need will never defeat you, because your shepherd will provide in his time and his way. Just as he sent manna to the desert, multiplied oil in a widow's jar, or fed a multitude with 5 loaves, he knows how to meet you in your lack. The Hebrew sense of the phrase, "I shall not want," is deeper than material provision. It is about contentment, about a soul that rests even when circumstances shake. It means you no longer chase satisfaction in temporary things because you have found the source. The shepherd is enough. He fills the emptiness within. He heals the cracks in your identity. He restores what the world could never repair. And this truth is where prayer begins. It is not only asking for things, it is anchoring yourself in the one who provides. It is saying, "Lord, I recognize you as my shepherd. Lead me, correct me, provide for me in ways I cannot imagine. Let my heart rest, knowing you will not abandon me. This first verse of Psalm 23 sets the stage for the entire psalm. Before walking through valleys, before feasting at the table, before dwelling in the house of the Lord forever, it starts here, with confidence that the shepherd is near and lack has no final word. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Picture a weary traveler, burdened by endless demands, finally being guided to a meadow where the grass is lush and the air is calm. That is the image David paints. Sheep do not naturally lie down unless they feel completely safe, fed and secure. When the psalm says he makes me lie down, it is not about force, it is about God creating the conditions where rest becomes possible. True rest is not simply sleeping at night, it is the inner stillness that only comes when fear, hunger and danger are taken away. In a world that glorifies busyness, many people are restless even while lying in bed. Their minds race, their hearts ache, and anxiety becomes louder than silence. This verse reveals God's answer. He does not simply offer a place to crash, he offers restoration. The shepherd leads his flock to green pastures, the symbol of nourishment, and beside still waters, the symbol of peace. Notice the word leads. The sheep do not stumble there by accident. The shepherd knows exactly where refreshment is, and he guides his people to it. But these green pastures are not only about food, they are about the word of God, the nourishment for your soul. Just as sheep graze on grass, your heart finds life when it feeds on truth. And the still waters? They are the Spirit of God, calming the turbulence inside you, washing away fear, quenching the thirst of your soul. This is why time in Scripture and prayer is not a ritual, but a pasture for the weary. It is where your shepherd restores what the world drains out of you. Think about the word still. Not rushing waters, not storms, but waters that reflect peace. God does not lead you to chaos. He leads you to clarity. He does not lead you to confusion. He leads you to calm. When your mind is overwhelmed, when decisions weigh heavily, he invites you to step into his peace, to drink deeply from his presence until anxiety loses its grip. And here is the invitation for prayer. Lord, guide me to your pastures. Quiet my restless heart. Lead me where I can hear your voice above the noise. Teach me to rest, not because problems are gone, but because you are near. This verse is about more than comfort. It is about transformation. It shifts you from running on empty to living from overflow. It teaches that true peace is not found by escaping life's pressures, but by walking closely with the shepherd who knows exactly where to restore you. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Life has a way of draining the soul. Disappointments, betrayals, failures, and even daily struggles can wear down the spirit until you feel like a shadow of yourself. When David says, "He restores my soul," he is declaring that God does more than give rest. He repairs what has been broken. Restoration is not a surface touch, it is deep healing. It is the shepherd reaching into the places of your heart that are weary, wounded, or fractured, and breathing life back into them. The Hebrew sense of restore carries the meaning of bringing back, of returning to the original design. Imagine a piece of wood weathered by years of storms, cracked and worn. In the hands of a master craftsman, it is sanded, polished, and made new again. That is what God does with your soul. He takes the parts dulled by guilt, scarred by sin, or crushed by grief, and he renews them until they shine with his image once more. But God's restoration does not stop with healing. It leads to direction. The psalm continues, "He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake." After restoring you, he sets you on a path where your steps align with his will. Paths of righteousness are not always the easiest roads, but they are the roads that lead to purpose, integrity, and fulfillment. A sheep does not choose its own path. It trusts the shepherd to lead it away from cliffs and towards safe ground. Notice that David says, "For his name's sake." This is key. God guides you not because you have earned it, but because his very reputation is tied to his care for his people. In ancient times, a shepherd's honor was measured by the safety and health of his flock. In the same way, God's name is glorified when you walk in righteousness, when your life becomes a testimony of his faithfulness. This changes how you pray, Instead of only asking for your desires, you begin to ask, Lord, align me with your ways. Restore me where I am broken. Lead me where I should go, not only for my good, but for the honor of your name. Prayer becomes less about escape and more about transformation, less about your will and more about His. The truth here is profound. Your story is not random. The valleys you've faced, the wounds you carry, even the victories you've tasted, God weaves them into a path that declares His glory. And when your soul feels too tired to keep moving, He restores, renews, and redirects you. Because a restored soul cannot stay lost, it must walk forward, guided by the hand of the shepherd who has staked his very name on your life. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. This is the heart of the psalm, the verse that has carried countless souls through nights of grief and days of despair. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Notice carefully, David does not say, if I walk through the valley, but though I walk. Valleys are not optional. Shadows will come. Death, loss, danger, and uncertainty are part of life. Faith does not remove valleys. It transforms the way you walk through them. The valley of the shadow of death was not an abstract metaphor for David. He had hidden in caves, fled from enemies, and faced armies far stronger than himself. Yet he testifies that fear does not dominate him. Why? Because of the presence of the shepherd. Fear thrives in absence. But when the presence of God becomes your reality, fear begins to dissolve. It is not that evil disappears, it is that evil loses its power to paralyze you. The shadow itself is important. A shadow cannot exist without light. The valley may be dark, but the very presence of a shadow means light is nearby. Death casts its shadow, but it is not ultimate. Pain casts its shadow, but it is temporary. The shepherd's presence is the assurance that even in the darkest valley, the light of God surrounds you. This verse also shifts the psalm from speaking about God to speaking to God. David says, "For you are with me." This is intimacy. In the valley, God is no longer an idea. He becomes your companion. He does not send you a message from a distance. He walks with you step by step. His nearness changes the atmosphere. The wolves may howl, the shadows may loom, but your shepherd is beside you, and his nearness is your shield. This is where prayer takes on its most desperate honesty. It is where you cry, "Lord, I feel the valley closing in, but I trust your presence. Even when I cannot see the way out, remind me that you walk with me. Drive away fear, anchor me in your light, and give me courage to keep walking." The valley is not the end of the story. It is a passage. You are not meant to set up camp in the valley. You are meant to walk through it. The shepherd's promise is not to eliminate the valley, but to ensure you emerge from it stronger, freer, and more certain of his faithfulness. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. In the valley, the psalmist introduces two tools of the shepherd, the rod and the staff. To modern ears, these might seem like simple sticks, but in David's world they were lifelines. The rod was a weapon of defense, a sturdy club used to strike predators, to drive back lions, bears, or wolves. The staff, with its distinctive hook, was used to guide, to rescue sheep caught in thorns, to pull one back from the edge of a cliff. Together they represent protection and direction. David says, "They comfort me." Notice how unusual this sounds. Comfort is not usually associated with weapons or correction, yet for the sheep, the presence of these tools meant safety. When you hear the crack of the rod, it is not against you, but against what threatens you. When you feel the tug of the staff, it may sting for a moment, but it is saving you from greater harm. In both cases, the shepherd's actions are motivated by love. How often do we confuse God's correction with rejection? We resist his staff when he pulls us away from destructive choices. We question his rod when he removes something dangerous from our lives. But the truth is, his discipline is part of his protection. Hebrews reminds us that the Lord disciplines those he loves, and every correction is evidence that we belong to him. The rod and staff are not signs of punishment. They are signs that you are not abandoned. And here lies a deeper comfort. God's authority is stronger than any enemy's attack. The wolves may circle, but the shepherd's rod strikes them down. Darkness may press close, but his staff directs your feet onto firm ground. You are not left defenseless. The tools in his hands are the guarantees of your survival. Prayer in this truth sounds like surrender. Lord, I welcome your rod and staff. Defend me from what I cannot see. Correct me when I wander. Keep me close even when I resist. Let your discipline save me. Let your protection surround me. The comfort David speaks of is not soft sentiment. It is security. It is the confidence that you are not navigating life alone, but under the careful, powerful hand of a shepherd who knows when to fight for you and when to pull you back. And with his rod and staff active in your life, you can rest even in the valley, because the shepherd's care is constant and complete. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Here the scene shifts dramatically. We move from the valley of shadows to a banquet table, not hidden, not in secret, but right in the presence of enemies. This is not about escaping opposition. It is about God displaying his favor in the very place where others expected your downfall. Imagine the boldness of this picture, surrounded by threats, yet seated at a feast prepared by the shepherd himself. A table is a place of communion, of intimacy, of abundance. To prepare a table is deliberate. It is not thrown together quickly. It is arranged with care. David is showing us that God does not merely give enough to survive, he provides in a way that displays his generosity. And the most striking part? He does it in front of those who oppose you. The enemies are not removed. They are forced to watch as God honors you. This is a powerful reversal. Enemies may have plotted to see you starve, but instead they witness you being nourished. They may have waited for your collapse, but instead they see you seated, steady, provided for. It is a declaration that God's provision is not dependent on circumstances or approval. It flows from his covenant love. In the ancient world, to dine at someone's table meant acceptance, protection, and fellowship. When the shepherd prepares a table for you, he is declaring, "You belong here. You are under my covering. You will not be shaken by what surrounds you." The enemies cannot poison this meal, they cannot cancel this invitation, and they cannot stop the shepherd's hand from serving you. This verse invites a bold kind of prayer. Lord, prepare your table in my life. Let those who doubted see your faithfulness. Feed me with your word until fear starves. Pour out blessings that reveal your goodness, not to exalt me, but to glorify you before the eyes of all. The table before enemies also teaches you something crucial. Your victory is not private. God allows it to be seen so that his name is magnified. The shepherd is not intimidated by opposition. He transforms the battlefield into a banquet hall, and while enemies rage, you eat in peace, because your seat at his table cannot be stolen. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. In David's time, anointing with oil carried deep meaning. Shepherds poured oil on their sheep's heads to protect them from insects that could burrow and cause torment. The oil acted as a shield, bringing relief and healing. In the same way, God anoints his people to guard their minds from thoughts that destroy peace, from lies that whisper despair, from attacks that aim to distract and wound. When David says, "You anoint my head with oil," he is declaring God's intimate care over the most vulnerable part of life, the mind and the soul. But anointing was also a sign of being chosen, set apart for purpose. Kings, prophets, and priests were anointed as a declaration of calling. Here David celebrates that God himself has chosen, appointed, and equipped him. And the same is true for you. The shepherd does not only rescue and feed his sheep, he marks them with identity and purpose. You are not forgotten in the crowd. You are seen, known, and set apart for his plans. Then David adds, "My cup overflows." Not half full, not barely enough. Overflow. This is abundance beyond survival, blessings that spill over into every area of life. The image is not one of scarcity, but of generosity. The shepherd does not ration his goodness. He pours until the cup cannot contain it. And when your cup overflows, it is not only for you. The overflow blesses those around you. Family, friends, even strangers can taste the goodness of God through the abundance flowing from your life. Consider this. In seasons where you feel empty, God's intention is not to leave you scraping for drops, but to fill you until your life becomes a testimony of his abundance. This is not just material provision. It is peace overflowing in chaos, joy overflowing in sorrow, faith overflowing in uncertainty. It is a supernatural supply that proves your shepherd is not limited by circumstances. Prayer here becomes a declaration. Lord, anoint my mind with your oil. Protect me from lies, heal what is broken, and remind me of my calling. Let my life overflow with your Spirit, so that others see your goodness in me. Make my cup a vessel of blessing that cannot be contained. Anointed and overflowing, that is the picture. Not a life of scarcity, but of divine abundance. Not a life defined by wounds, but by purpose. And as the shepherd anoints you, you begin to walk with a confidence that no valley, no enemy, no shadow can erase. You belong to him, and your life is marked by his overflow. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. This verse is not wishful thinking, it is certainty. David says, surely, not maybe. He is convinced that God's goodness and mercy will pursue him, not occasionally, not in select seasons, but every single day of his life. Imagine that. No matter where you go, no matter what storms rise, goodness and mercy are behind you, following closely, refusing to let you walk alone. Goodness speaks of God's provision, his favor, his blessings poured into your life. Mercy in the Hebrew sense is hesed, the steadfast covenant love of God that never quits. Together they form a divine partnership, chasing you with grace and faithfulness. When enemies pursue, goodness and mercy run faster. When shame tries to catch up, mercy covers you. When lack threatens, goodness provides. This is not passive, it is active pursuit. Think of it this way. In every step you take, God leaves a trail behind you. Goodness is what he does for you. Mercy is what he withholds from you. Goodness grants blessings you do not deserve. Mercy spares judgments you did deserve. Both walk with you like loyal companions, ensuring your story is never abandoned to chance or despair. This truth reframes how you look at your past. Perhaps you see mistakes, regrets, and seasons of loss, but David declares that if you look closer, you will also see footprints of goodness and mercy woven through it all. Even in failures, God preserved you. Even in sorrow, his mercy carried you. And if that has been true in the past, how much more in the future? Prayer here becomes gratitude and declaration. Lord, thank you for goodness that provides and mercy that forgives. Thank you that these are not distant concepts, but daily realities. Let me walk with confidence, knowing that wherever I go, your goodness and mercy follow me. Teach me to notice them, to celebrate them, and to trust that they will never abandon me. The assurance is this: your life is not left to chance. Goodness and mercy are assigned to you, covenant companions that will not resign, will not grow weary, will not lose track of you. Every morning you wake up, they are waiting. Every night you lie down, they are guarding. And when you finally look back at the journey of your life, you will see a trail marked not by defeat, but by the steady pursuit of God's unchanging love. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The psalm reaches its climax here, moving from the valleys and battles of this life to the eternal promise that never ends. David declares, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Notice the confidence. He does not say, I hope, or I wish. He speaks with certainty, because the shepherd who has guided him through pastures, valleys, and victories is the same shepherd who guarantees his eternal home. To dwell in the house of the Lord is not simply about entering a temple. It is about living in the presence of God continually. In David's time, the temple symbolized the nearness of God. But what he is pointing to here goes beyond a building. It is the eternal fellowship, the unbroken communion with the shepherd himself. This is not a visit, it is a residence. Not a guest for a night, but a child who belongs forever. This verse gives hope that life's valleys and battles are not the final word. Pain, sickness, enemies, and even death are temporary. The destination is not the shadow, it is the house of the Lord. Every step the shepherd takes with you is leading toward that eternal dwelling. Every moment of restoration, every table of provision, every anointing of oil is preparation for the eternal home where no wolves threaten, no shadows linger, and no tears remain. Consider the weight of the word forever. Our lives are brief, fragile, a vapor that passes quickly. But the shepherd offers something unshakable, an eternal place in his presence. Forever means no interruption, no expiration, no threat of being cast out. It is security beyond time itself. Prayer in this truth becomes a declaration of destiny. Lord, thank you that my journey does not end in the valley, but in your house. Thank you for preparing a place where I will dwell with you eternally. Anchor my heart in this promise, so that when shadows rise, I remember that my final home is with you. This ending transforms the psalm into more than comfort for the present. It becomes a vision for the future. Psalm 23 begins with green pastures and ends with eternal dwelling. It starts with provision on earth and ends with presence in heaven. And the shepherd who walks with you now is the same shepherd who will welcome you into his house, where peace, joy, and love endure without end. Psalm 23, as a personal prayer of trust. Now that we have walked through every line of Psalm 23, it becomes more than poetry. It becomes a personal prayer, a declaration of trust that you can carry into every moment of life. This psalm is not just David's testimony, it can be yours. When you speak these words, you align your heart with the shepherd who has promised to provide, protect, and guide you. Praying Psalm 23 is powerful because it shifts your focus. Instead of magnifying the valley, you magnify the shepherd. Instead of dwelling on enemies, you dwell on the table he sets before you. Instead of drowning in fear, you rise in confidence that his rod and staff are with you. These verses are not empty words. They are weapons against despair, reminders of who your God is and who you are under his care. When you say, "The Lord is my shepherd," you remind your soul that you are not wandering aimlessly. When you declare, "I will fear no evil," you confront fear with faith. When you proclaim, "Surely goodness and mercy will follow me," you silence lies that say you are abandoned. And when you finish with, "I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever," you anchor your hope in eternity. This psalm covers the entire spectrum of life: provision in green pastures, restoration of the soul, courage in the valley, victory at the table, abundance in the cup, and eternal security in God's house. It leaves nothing untouched. It is as if the shepherd has wrapped every part of your journey in his presence, declaring that no step is outside his care. Here is how you can turn it into prayer. Lord, be my shepherd today. Lead me where I need to go. Restore what is weary in me. Walk with me through valleys. Defend me with your rod. Guide me with your staff. Prepare my table. Anoint me with your oil, and let my life overflow. Let goodness and mercy follow me wherever I go, and keep my eyes fixed on the eternal home you have promised. Psalm 23 is not only recited at funerals, it is prayed in the living, breathing moments of every day. It is your shield in weakness, your strength in fear, your song in the night. And the more you pray it, the more it reshapes your perspective, until peace becomes more natural than panic, and trust more instinctive than doubt. Living Psalm 23 daily, applying the shepherd's promise. The final step is not just to understand Psalm 23, not just to pray it in moments of crisis, but to live it daily. The shepherd's presence is not confined to church services or sacred rituals. It is with you in the ordinary rhythms of life. At work, at home, in traffic, in silence, he is there. To live Psalm 23 is to walk each day with awareness that you are never alone, never unprotected, never without provision. Living it daily means trusting the shepherd in small choices. When worry rises, you choose to rest in green pastures by opening his word. When chaos surrounds you, you let him lead you beside still waters through prayer. When failure weighs on you, you allow him to restore your soul rather than hide in shame. When you face decisions, you seek his guidance down paths of righteousness instead of leaning only on your understanding. It also means confronting valleys differently. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you declare, "You are with me." Instead of shrinking in fear, you walk with courage, knowing his rod and staff protect you. And when opposition comes, you remember that God prepares your table right in front of those who hoped you would fall. You feast in confidence, not arrogance, because the shepherd is your host. To live Psalm 23 is to embrace overflow. Not a life of barely enough, but of cups running over with peace, joy, and generosity. It is to notice goodness and mercy following you, even in seasons you thought were barren. and it is to keep eternity before your eyes, knowing that every step on earth leads you closer to the shepherd's house, where forever begins. The challenge is simple but profound. Do not let Psalm 23 remain words on a page. Make it your lens for living. Each morning declare it, each evening rest in it, each valley walk through it, each blessing thank God for it, and in every moment keep your eyes on the shepherd who has promised to lead you, feed you, defend you, and bring you home. So here is the invitation. Let Psalm 23 shape not only your prayers but your perspective. Let it become the rhythm of your life. And as you live it, may you discover that peace in the valley is not a fleeting feeling, but a permanent reality, because the shepherd of your soul walks with you now and forever.